Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Affordable internet. Governor Cuomo signed a first-in-the-nation measure to require internet service providers to offer broadband to low-income families for $15 a month. But as Big Fox's Matt Kleinden's found out, local leaders say there's still an issue with access.
Good evening, Ann. The bill aims to make high-speed internet affordable to millions. However, the Steuben County manager tells me that much work needs to be done to address the issue of access. The main aspects of the bill are simple.
All internet service providers in the state must offer high-speed internet at an affordable cost, $15 a month to any low-income family in this state.
The Cuomo administration says the program will help nearly 7 million New Yorkers and 2.7 million households.
Affordable internet for especially individuals with lower incomes is hard to argue against. So that makes a lot of sense.
Manager Jack Wheeler says the number of Steuben County residents will qualify to receive affordable internet. However, he does have a few concerns about the bill. The first pertains to cost. While larger providers like Spectrum may be able to shoulder the cost to meet the governor's demands, it may be an issue for smaller companies that provide internet for the county.
Companies and internet providers such as Empire and Armstrong to reduce revenue potentially by not an insignificant amount will pose challenges.
The second deals with access. Wheeler says there are roughly 2,000 to 3,000 households without internet in the county, and that the bill doesn't solve this issue.
What I'm hearing is there's internet a mile down my road, but not to my house, and I needed to get to my house for homeschool or telework or those sort of things.
Wheeler says more money from the federal and state level needs to be invested to address affordable access to the internet.
This pandemic has just proved that and borne that out. You need access to safe and reliable broadband services to be able to either complete your learning or telecommute for work.
Matt Kleinden's Big Fox, WYDC in Corning.
April 19th, the day President Joe Biden said every adult in the country would be eligible to get the COVID-19 vaccine. And states are delivering on his promise, and millions of people have already been vaccinated. But as Britt Conway reports, health experts say the next hurdle is getting everyone else to do the same.
By no later than April 19th.
Today's the day. Every American 16 years and older is eligible to get a COVID-19 vaccine.
It's your turn now.
As of Sunday, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says half of U.S. adults have had at least one dose, a big step in the race between vaccines and variants.
That's the reason why you want to get our population vaccinated.
But demand is dropping in a number of states. A recent poll from Monmouth University shows about 1 in 5 adults say they're not willing to get vaccinated. The divide is mostly along party lines, with 43% of Republicans who want to avoid the vaccine, 22% of independents, and 5% of Democrats. The reasons vary, from a push to maintain personal freedoms.
This is a public health issue. It's not a civil liberties issue.
To distrust because of past mistreatment of minorities by health professionals, difficulty accessing the shots, not liking needles, or a lack of long-term safety data.
These vaccines are exceedingly safe. They're, I believe, safer than most therapies and vaccines that we have developed in the past.
Health experts say whatever the reason, it's all the more reason to keep talking.
Having that conversation in a way that doesn't make them feel judged or ashamed by having any kind of concerns or hesitations, and that allows them to at least feel a bit more comfortable with it.
I'm Britt Conway reporting.
Closing arguments in the murder trial against former Minneapolis officer Derek Chauvin are now underway. Chauvin is charged with second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter in the death of George Floyd. He has pleaded not guilty. Daryl Forges in Minneapolis with the latest.
His name was George Perry Floyd Jr. That's how the prosecution opened up their closing arguments. Now both sides will be making a big push to the jury as why they think that Derek Chauvin is either innocent or guilty. But outside the courtroom, things continue to intensify.
Mr. Slisher, you may proceed.
It all comes down to this: the prosecution and Derek Chauvin's defense team making their final case in one of the most closely watched trials in years. Both sides presenting their closing arguments before Judge Cahill hands over the case to the jury.
Lying on the pavement, being pressed upon, desperately crying out. A grown man crying out for his mother.
The state trying to show jurors Chauvin violated his department's policy when he knelt on George Floyd's neck for more than 9 minutes, in violation of the Minneapolis Police Department's policy on excessive force. The former police officer has pleaded not guilty to multiple charges, including second-degree unintentional murder.
9 minutes and 29 seconds. During this time, George Floyd struggled, desperate to breathe.
Meanwhile, the defense rebutting, reminding jurors of other factors they say contributed to Floyd's death, like his drug use and heart condition, to create reasonable doubt. Meanwhile, outside the courthouse, boarded up windows and razor wire all across the city as it braces for potential unrest. The area reeling from another fatal encounter between a black man and police. 20-year-old Dante Wright shot and killed by a police officer about 10 miles from the courthouse. And Wright's funeral is scheduled for this Thursday. Now back to the Derek Chauvin murder trial. Once both sides finish their closing arguments, the jury will be sequestered for deliberations that could take a day or two, or however long they need in order to get to the overall final verdict. Now, probably the most serious charge against Derek Chauvin is the second-degree unintentional murder. If he's found guilty of that, he could spend as much as 40 years in prison. In Minneapolis, I'm Daryl Forges.
One person of interest is in custody and will be charged in connection to Sunday's mass shooting in southeast Wisconsin. The U.S. has seen a rash of these incidents over recent weeks, and some officials see it as a second pandemic affecting the country. John Lawrence reports.
3 people are dead and 2 others severely wounded after shots are fired early Sunday morning at the Summers House Tavern near Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Sounds like one person got removed from the establishment and possibly came back a short time later.
CNN and the Gun Violence Archive consider an incident with more than 4 people shot, excluding the shooter, a mass shooting, and at least 50 have occurred in the U.S. since March 16th, when 8 people were killed at 3 spas in the metro Atlanta area.
I mean, in this last month, it's just been horrifying what's happened. How can you say that's not a public health issue?
On Sunday afternoon, Texas police responded to a shooting incident that authorities say claimed at least 3 lives. As some analysts say, the gun issue defines part of the way the world views the U.S.
Our allies are perplexed and worried about the fact that we can't seem to have a national conversation about the epidemic of gun violence in our country.
Some psychiatrists say these frequent shootings are causing Americans to become more desensitized toward gun violence.
The body naturally responds from the horror and the shock to try to protect ourselves by increasingly becoming numb.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
In Texas, Harris County authorities are investigating a fiery crash of a Tesla Model S that killed 2 passengers on Saturday night. Now, the car was in autonomous or self-driving mode. Roxy Bustamante has the latest.
Harris County deputies say it was around 9 Saturday night when 2 men dropped off their wives and decided to take a 2019 Tesla Model S out for a test drive in a Spring area neighborhood. Investigators say evidence at the scene revealed the vehicle was traveling fast down Hammock Dunes Place when it lost control, hitting a tree and burst into flames, killing the 2 men inside. One was in the passenger seat, the other in the back seat. But no one was in the driver's seat at the time of the crash, according to Harris County Constable Mark Herman. Firefighters used more than 30,000 gallons of water for over 4 hours and eventually had to let the fire burn out on its own.
We don't know yet what happened, and I don't really want to speculate.
Stephen Pace owns 2 Teslas, including an older Model S. He talked to me about the safety features in place for the self-driving mode that most people don't know about unless they own a Tesla.
You're warned when you pick up your Tesla that this is just a driving assistance system. It's not, doesn't drive yourself yet. That's the goal, that eventually they will be able to drive themselves. But today it warns you if you don't touch the steering wheel constantly, It checks for weight in the seat, so it won't just start. But so there's many safety protocols built into this system.
We reached out to Tesla and have not heard back, but in a recent tweet, Elon Musk released this year's first quarterly safety report. In it, it reveals with autopilot engaged, Tesla vehicles had a lower chance of an accident than the average vehicle. Investigators hope to find out more about Saturday night's crash by using downloadable data from the Tesla.
My heart goes out to the families. I guess we'll see what happened in this case. I would just say, drive carefully. I mean, the cars are very advanced. They have a lot of advanced safety features, but that doesn't mean you should not pay attention to the road, pay attention to what other drivers are doing. Don't just assume the car is going to do it all for you.
The Gaffer District announced that Glassfest will be returning to Corning. Last year's festival was held virtually due to the pandemic. Glassfest will feature several pop-up music acts, videos highlighting glass making, a special tribute to local hometown heroes, and much more. The Gaffer District is planning accordingly to maintain COVID guidelines to keep the festival goers safe. The event goes from May 24th through the 30th. Still ahead tonight, vaccine mix-up. A North Carolina woman says she was notified she and her husband received saline instead of the COVID-19 vaccine.
About 5:30, they called us and told us we needed to come back the next day, that they had been a mix-up with our shot.
Hear the response from their local Walgreens pharmacy about how the incident happened.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Tonight's Big Fox forecast is brought to you by William Mattar. Good evening, everyone. I'm meteorologist Kim Walker with your weather update. We did have a few showers that popped up this afternoon. Expect it to be cloudy tonight. Temperatures will be dropping down into the low 40s by 3 o'clock, and it looks like we hover in the mid 40s as we start off tomorrow morning. There is a cold front that will be moving right over our area. It's going to pass right through us on Tuesday. I'm expecting clouds to remain through much of the day, and as the low pressure system that is located in the middle part of the country starts to move to the northeast, it will spread a little bit more rain toward our area on a Wednesday into your Thursday. So as this system approaches Tuesday night, we are expecting cold air to start to slide through as well. And so that will be switching our rain over to snow and a wintry mix. By Thursday morning, those temperatures will be plummeting down to below freezing on Thursday morning. So here's a look at your hour-to-hour planner, though, heading into tomorrow. Our average high is around 60 degrees tomorrow, and we're going to be a little bit below that. 47 degrees at 8 o'clock, 51 by noon, and then 55 degrees by 4 o'clock with a mostly cloudy sky. And then it gets colder as we head into the next couple of days. So our future radar is showing for tonight a few more showers will be pressing eastward. By 7 o'clock in the morning, we will wake up with a few isolated showers that will move out of our area. And then take a look at what happens Tuesday night into Wednesday. Those clouds will really start to thicken up during the day on Tuesday. By 7 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday, we could wake up to a wintry mix in Hornell, Bath, and also in Corning. This will be switching over to some rain in some locations as those temperatures will be above freezing by the afternoon. And then we plummet down again in the late afternoon. So notice the snow that is starting to show up in Hornell and Bath, and possibly even in Corning and Elmira, or at least a wintry mix. And then more snow showers will be possible Wednesday night into early Thursday before the system moves out of our area, and we are going to see a little bit drier conditions for your Friday. Here's a look at your forecast. Tonight, temperatures drop down to around 42 degrees. In Elmira, Corning around 44 with partly cloudy skies. Mostly cloudy conditions for your Tuesday, then Tuesday night into Wednesday. Expect a few showers that will be moving across our area. It's going to be off and on rain. and possibly some snow mixing in as those temperatures dive down into the 20s Wednesday night. We could wake up to a wintry mix on Thursday, and then during the day we do warm up to around 44. Gradually warming up to the 60s by Saturday. We have another system that will bring the chance of rain back by the end of the weekend. A North Carolina woman says she and her husband were among those involved in a vaccine mix-up at a local Walgreens. The company admits some people who were supposed to get a COVID shot were accidentally injected with a saline solution instead. Marvin Beach has more.
You question how that could even happen.
Plenty of questions for Lisa Strawn. She says she and her husband walked into the Walgreens on Fincher Street in Monroe on March 20th and got what they thought was the Pfizer vaccine.
About 5:30, they called us and told us we needed to come back the next day, that they had been a mix-up with our shot.
Strawn was told the pharmacist had forgotten to mix the vaccine and they had only gotten a saline shot.
And then my question was, well, what if we'd have got the straight Pfizer, without it being diluted? And anyway, never really got an answer out of that.
It's still unclear how many people got the wrong injection.
They were several people they were having to call because there was like a big stack of papers there. And I asked the guy, I said, how did you figure out that we only got saline? And he said, well, at 5 o'clock when she called me and said she had a lot of vaccine left over, what was she to do with it? And he said, you shouldn't have any vaccine left over. So that's how they discovered it.
In a statement, Walgreens said it contacted people who were affected and rescheduled their dose, adding, we are investigating what happened and have taken immediate steps to review our procedures with the location to prevent this from occurring again.
But I just thought it was important that people know, just, be careful, check behind them.
In the past year of the pandemic, many people have worked from home and may have taken a break from getting dressed up or putting on makeup. But as more people get vaccinated and head back to work, a warning about that makeup you had a year ago. It does expire. Mandy Gaither has more on when to throw that out in today's Health Minute.
It may have been sitting around for months, that makeup you haven't touched much since the beginning of the pandemic.
Expiration dates are really important to keep in mind when it comes to makeup.
Dr. Susan Masick, a dermatologist and assistant professor in the Ohio State College of Medicine, says sometimes manufacturers will stamp on an actual date of expiration, but they may also put on a period after opening stamp.
Oftentimes there'll be a logo with an open jar and a number and an M after it, which means, for example, 6M would be 6 months after opening would be an appropriate expiration.
When it comes to shelf life, Dr. Masick says any eye makeup like mascara or liner should be replaced after 3 months. Liquid blushes, concealers, or foundations throw out after a year. Anything that's a pencil for your lips, brows, or eyelids can stay around for a year as well. Lipsticks and lip glosses are good for 1 to 2 years. Not only can expired products not work as well, but can also harbor potentially harmful germs.
The downsides to those kinds of contaminations, which are generally things like skin infections, skin irritation, certainly eye infections, conjunctivitis, styes, those things can all arise from contaminated or expired makeup.
If you notice your makeup is drying out, don't put water or saliva on it.
That actually introduces even more bacteria that you're then going to be spreading on your face.
So if you're spring cleaning, you might want to include your makeup bag. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Are you too chicken to own a chicken? Well, pet supply shops in California say their customers aren't. They say sales of the birds have been soaring since the pandemic began. Marley Ginter reports.
Man's best friend may actually have feathers and 2 legs.
Oh yeah, we're always selling birds. What are you getting? 2 silkies?
Jess Coda, manager at Western Feed and Supply in Sacramento, has never seen more chickens fly off the shelves than during the pandemic. At one point, they even had to limit 3 to 6 chicks per person to keep up with demand.
I think it was fair, man. I think it was all fair. I think that the easiest way, when survival mode kicks in, you figure out how to feed your family.
So now she has fresh eggs every single day, and the chickens are having little chicks.
Maria Elena Perez says her sister bought into the craze, now raising chickens in her backyard.
Super, super cool. So I don't have to buy eggs anymore either because she gives me eggs too and gives the whole family. So we all Win-win.
We have the time, so let's do it. And of course, there's some people that just focused on their gardens. So it just really depends, man.
Mike O'Connell, owner of Wild West Feed Pet Supplies, has also been selling more chickens than usual, and he's not surprised, considering they're pretty easy to care for.
As long as you provide food, water, and a place for them to nest in, they'll lay eggs for you. They eat, they lay eggs, that's what they do.
The pandemic hatching a new kind of pet owner.
I mean, you can go on YouTube and pretty much figure anything out, and raising chickens is pretty damn easy.
Get your COVID-19 vaccine, get free beer and donuts. Last week, Sam Adams announced that it would be buying a beer for anyone who's gotten a shot. Now Budweiser is following suit. Budweiser says its offer is until May 16th. Sam Adams will give you $7 for a beer at your favorite bar. The promotion is called Shot for Sam. And Krispy Kreme is offering an original glazed donut for people who have gotten their shot. All you have to do is show your vaccination record card. A little helicopter has just completed its first big mission. NASA's Ingenuity helicopter successfully flew and landed on Mars this morning. It is the first aircraft to achieve powered flight on another planet. NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory was in mission control to receive and analyze data from the attempt. Ingenuity flew to Mars aboard the Perseverance rover in February. Together, they're exploring the Jezero crater in search for signs of ancient life. Deciding where to go to college is a big deal. So imagine the challenge and honor of deciding between 25 colleges and universities. Michelle Galado introduces us to a driven 18-year-old with a big decision to make.
Student body president, athlete, business entrepreneur. Julian Sims is an 18-year-old with a purpose. After 7 years at the University of Chicago Charter School Woodland campus, the time has nearly come to make a very important choice. One made all the much harder after being accepted into all 25 colleges he applied to.
Georgetown University, the University of Southern California, Georgia Tech, the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, Howard University, Hampton, Morehouse.
With over $1 million in scholarship money being offered to him by the various universities, it won't be sticker shock that keeps Julian from his school of choice. A good business program is what he is looking for, and someplace he's able to continue working on a casual wear clothing brand of his own creation.
Just be chill. That's the motto, just chill. This idea started during the pandemic, so the pandemic just helped me find out more about myself, regain mental health, but through that I stayed active creating this clothing brand. This is all just for learning and also to give back to the community.
Raised by a single mother, Julian credits her with keeping him on the straight and narrow, empowering him to grow beyond the stereotype of being a young black male on the south side of Chicago.
I had to realize that the odds are against me, along with others in my community who look like me.
I kept him active in after-school programs, summer programs at Kennecott Park District, so just trying to stay mindful that the bottom line is we got to keep him active.
Active and with one main guiding principle.
You want to stay positive. You want to make sure that you help others along the way. And so be mindful of the things that you do and the decisions that you make, because ultimately it's on you.
We want to leave you with a smile tonight. Perhaps you've always wanted to try your cat's food. Well, if you have, now you can. Fancy Feast releasing a cookbook for humans inspired by its Petite's single-serve cat entrees. This is real, you guys. The company's in-house chef created 12 recipes, including chicken and ramen with tomato honey butter sauce and whitefish and asparagus with beurre blanc. Fancy Feast says the meals are meant to accompany your cat's food. Its Petite's entrees come in 3 flavors: salmon with spinach, ocean whitefish with tomato, and grilled chicken with rice. Now, each human recipe is color-coded so you know which flavor to pair with your meal. From our whole team, thank you for joining us. We hope you have a great night.